Welcome back. All right, so that game happened. Now, I have to say this: the Pittsburgh Penguins today, that's playoff level hockey. This was a game that was without a penalty until very late in the third period. It was very cleanly played, very good defensive hockey, and very good defensive hockey without taking penalties. So there weren't high sticks. There were a couple of maybe borderline ones that players may be whining about after the game, and fans might be complaining, oh, they didn't call this, and they didn't. You know what? I've always been a fan of referees not becoming the story, and they really aren't in this one. So, Swayman versus Jari, and both goaltenders played pretty darn well. So I haven't seen the 3 stars, but I guarantee you Swayman and Jari are two of them. And the third is Gensel. And I don't know what order you put him in, but that should be your 3 stars. A 1-0 game is always your easiest game for picking your stars. Pens wearing their thirds. This jersey right here. Bergeron was back tonight, or today, I should say, for Boston. Boston 6-1 in their last 7. Pittsburgh in their last 9 coming into this game 7-1-1. They are now 8-1-1 in their last 10. And again, this to me says Pittsburgh right now might be playing some of the best hockey in that division. It's between Pittsburgh and Washington for me. Tentative start, both defending well. I had no idea how prophetic that was going to be. Shots were 3-0 Pens at 4 minutes. The funny thing is the shot totals were relatively high, and yet it didn't feel to me like there were a lot of really strong opportunities. And even late in the third period, I think they combined for like 24 scoring opportunities, like good scoring chances. So both defenses doing a good job of making sure shots are from the outside. There weren't a lot of rebounds. And if a goalie can see it, he'll stop it. And so you make sure the goalie can see it. Bruins press at the 5-minute mark. Jari stopped a shot from Pasternak. Jari then made a stop on a shot from Lazar. Matheson then got a shot. He also turns it over, and he goes back and makes a nice defensive play. So Mike Matheson continues what's been a pretty good season for him with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Both goalies looking sharp. The Bruins pressed with 4.5 minutes left. Jari just making the saves when needed. Coyle missed the net on a rush chance, and there was certainly a lot of that going on with players missing the net. Back and forth action late. Craig Smith misses the net on a 2-on-1 in the final 30 seconds of the period, but we come out of the first scoreless. Second period. Pens had a 2-on-1 early, which misfires. Because, again, that's part of the story with this, too. Bruins push back. There was a press by the Pens at around 4 minutes. Hall with some shot blocks. And Hall's defensive play was good in this. But there wasn't that offensive push from Hall and from Boston. And again, great game by Pittsburgh. They played very, very well. I don't want to take anything away from them in this, so I'm not going to. Swayman making some saves there. Sevier had a chance that was saved. Good first half for the Penguins. Lauzon then had a point shot that was blocked. Matheson and Wagner got tied up behind, I believe it was behind the Pittsburgh net. And the emotions seemed to be starting to rise at that point. I thought, okay, here we go. And then it goes back to that. And, you know, it's one of those things where you're going, okay, so they're playing the really defensive style. And it's not, you know, a lot of really chippy action. That's why we're not getting penalties. It's really clean. Not a ton of whistles either. But there's just, yeah, it's this... I was looking at that going, okay, the emotion's going to get into it. Then not really. Not for the most part. Then there was another Sevier chance that was saved. He had a bunch today. I thought Colton Sevier played well. Corelli then, pass at the Penguins net, doesn't connect. So some other not connecting passes was going on, which is both bad luck for the team that's offensively, missing those. And it means there's good defense going on as well. Russ nearly gets one. The Bruins would ice the puck after that. Momentum in the Penguins' favor, and Swayman was the one saving it to that point. Late in that second period, it just felt like the Penguins were the better team. Even though the shots would tell you it wasn't really that far off. Bruins press with 2.5 minutes left. The top line generating some chances. I'm not calling them that. Jari covers in that situation. And through 40 minutes, we had no penalties and no goals. This is the only game in the NHL this year that hasn't had goals or penalties in the first 40 minutes. So, that happens. A lot of hits, but again, it didn't feel like there was a lot of hits. Like, I'm looking at the totals in the app and I'm going, it doesn't... But again, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a hitting game. It just didn't feel like it was an overly brutal game when it came to the hitting. There wasn't a lot of hate going on out there. Third period, early pass was blocked by Riley. Riley had another good game. Penguins get some pressure. Kapanen had a chance that was saved. Ceci tried a 1 versus 4. The interesting thing with this was, so Ceci goes into the Bruins zone. He's trying to skate through like 4 different guys. And then the Bruins iced it. So it's one of those situations where you would expect a turnover and then the Bruins push the other way because the Penguins are cramped up in their zone. But they iced it. And so that to me seemed like kind of a missed chance. And then at 4:03, yeah, the Penguins make you pay for it. On an absolutely beautiful pass, Gensel buries one. Dumoulin with the secondary assist. And it's 1-0. And yeah, it felt like that was probably going to be enough. The way the Penguins were playing defensively in this game, it felt like that would do it. And again, remember, the last time these teams played each other, Boston had 7 goals. And Pittsburgh played today like they remember. Boston had 7 goals last time. Penguins press after the goal. Carter fired a fast break chance wide. No openings for the Bruins. Nothing. They go up the ice. You can go down the outside. There's nothing in the middle. You're not going to have anything in front of the net. You're not net crashing on Jari. You're not able to get things really, shaken up. And this is the kind of game, too, where you've kind of neutralized Marchand. Marchand, when you're not getting those net crashes, there's not a bunch of penalties, he can be neutralized. No sustained pressure for the Bruins as a result as well of that defense being played by the Penguins. There was a 2-on-1 for the Penguins, broken up by McAvoy. He came back, he skated, broke it up. Shots were 6-5 for the Bruins with 8 minutes left, but again, it still felt like Pittsburgh was in control of the game. Letang missed one wide, still no penalties to that stage. Bruins bungled up a clear, but Aston Reese couldn't make him pay for it. So it was an attempted clear that didn't go well, and then Aston Reese can't bury it. And there were certainly at that point calls not being made. Little slashes and hooks that you might call in another game. They weren't calling them here. This was being called like a playoff game. So maybe the refs have been told, hey, we got 2 weeks left till the playoffs. Start calling them like playoff games. We'll see how the other 3 games go today and if that's a pattern or if it's just this was a one-off. Crosby, Gensel generating another chance. The Penguins controlling it. Their line goes off. Zucker's line comes on, and it's generating chances as well. Swayman robs Aston Reese in by himself. Penguins press again with 3.5 minutes left. The Bruins just, they didn't have it, and the Penguins were making sure they didn't have a chance to get it back. Lazar looked like he was tripped, and the Bruins wanted a call, but on the replay you could see that's not a trip. And it's one of those ones, they've been calling these as trips this year where you kind of tap the guy's leg with your stick and then he falls down. And I've seen games where those are called as trips, and I, as a fan that's watched the game for 40 years, goes, that's not a trip. A trip is putting your stick out and tripping the player. You tap their leg and they fall over. That's not a trip. So the Bruins wanted it. I'm glad they didn't call that, though, because that would have been kind of a bit of a ticky-tack penalty for a game that had no penalties up to that point. Goalie pull with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left, but then with 1:28 left, the Bruins are kind of cramped in their own zone, 6-on-5, and Bergeron guilty of a high stick. He goes to the box, so that gives the Pens the power play. They would pull the goaltender in the final minute, so it's 5-on-5, but they call a timeout with 41 seconds left. The highlight of that final minute was Gensel from center ice maybe having a chance at the empty net, and instead he tries to pass it to Crosby, because Crosby made that fantastic pass to him. So he's trying to get Crosby the goal to ice it. Doesn't matter. They hold on. They win 1-0. They go to 32-14-3. They're back in first in the division. Boston drops to 27-14-6. Shots in this one, 10 apiece in the first, 11-8 Pittsburgh in the second, 12-8 Boston in the third. Final shots, 30-29 Boston. Scoring chances favored Pittsburgh. And last I saw, I think it was 17-11 in favor of Pittsburgh. Power plays, Pittsburgh gets the only one. It doesn't matter, and that power play just allows them to kill off the rest of the game, right? Hits were 32 each. So again, 64 hits. But to me, it didn't feel like an overly physical, brutal game. Just a really good defensive game. Block shots, 14-8 for Boston. Swayman saves 28 out of 29. Jari saves all 30 for his 6th career shutout. So, kudos to Jari on that. And Swayman has another good game. And for the Bruins, they have a rematch on Tuesday. And we'll see whether or not they can break through and get something going. But this really did feel like it was going to be a a 1-0 shutout. As soon as you get about halfway through the second, it's kind of like, so one goal's going to win this, right? And that's where we ended up. So there you go. One game done. We got 3 more games to go today. Let me know your thoughts regarding this game in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.